Village Heights, and any guests we have today. Thank you so much for being here. It took a lot of motivation to walk outside today because it is cold. As soon as you get outside, it's real motivation to move quick. So a lot of you are early, and thank you for that. But I know it's because of the cold. It's cool. We're in week 3 of our collection, Fork in the Road. Hannah did an amazing job with the first 2 installments of this, and today I'm going to do this one today, and then I'm going to close it out next Sunday. And I'm loving this. And this message today, though, either you're going to love it or you're going to hate it. Okay, so bear with me. Because truthfully, when it comes to life, we had a lot of forks in the road, right? There's always, you come to if you haven't yet, you're going to. It's inevitable. But we are the sum total of the fork that we choose, right? Whatever direction that we choose, we end up embodying and becoming whatever that path is. So in the next week, just to get a little forecasting, we're going to talk about important over urgent. I'm excited about this one. But today, I'm going to start with just kind of letting you into my life. Growing up and going to college and going to seminary, they talked to you about public speaking. If you've ever been to public speaking, you were probably taught this, that when you begin to talk, be positive. I can do that. Be funny. I'm usually pretty good at that. Be attention-grabbing, but always avoid being negative. And so in light of that, I want to start with the words of Jesus derived from John 16:33. It says, "Here on earth you will have many trials and sorrows." AKA, you're going to be in pain. Welcome to Village Heights. We're here to inspire you, make you feel good about yourself, and hope you have a great week, right? The truth is that we all come to this realization. Some of us don't accept the realization of it, but it is a fact of life that you're going to experience pain. It is just a fact. That's how it goes. Some of that pain is going to be beyond your control. If you've ever been betrayed, you know what I'm talking about. If you've ever gone through, had an accident, whether it's in a car or something physical, it just kind of happens to you, right? And that's pain that you couldn't control. If you've been downsized, if you've ever been in that situation in the corporate world where you think the company's going great, and then you find out it's not, and then you get downsized. If you're a parent and you end up with an unwanted pet that the kids promised they were going to take care of, and then they don't. And so then you have a pet that the kids play with every once in a while, you know? That's some unwanted pain. But sometimes you come to a painful fork in the road, and sometimes these pains you can control. You can have a decision in the pain. For example, it's the pain of obeying your parents now or dealing with the consequences later. That pain. My kids are always learning this lesson. I don't know. There's one day they'll get it, I'm sure. The pain of studying for the test now or having to retake the class later. I know that one too well. The pain of no temptations now or the pain of having to try to beat an addiction later. The pain of living by your means or the pain of paying for crushing debt later. Those things that in your life you're like, man, I wish I never would have, but you impulse bought. You bought with money that you didn't have, and now you're having to deal with that debt. You can either take a path of the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. So today we're going to be talking about discipline over regret. Choosing that fork in the road that's discipline rather than the fork that's regret. And so what is discipline? This is how we were going to define it today. Discipline is choosing between what you want now over what you want most. I'll say that again. Discipline is choosing between what you want now and what you want most. So as we're starting, right, I'm going to ask you to do this again a little bit to kind of review. But as we're getting into this, I want you to do something. You can pull some paper out. You can write on your phone. You can use your finger just to make me feel good. But write something that you want most. What do you want most in life? I'll give you a second to think about that. What do you want most? Think about it, write it down, record it, whatever it may be. All right, so whatever that thing is, most of us, what we can do if you don't know what to do, is you can ask Siri. You can ask Alexa, two very smart women. You can. When I need something something I want most, and I don't know how to do it, I go to YouTube. And there's a video somewhere that somebody's going to tell you how to do it. And so, when it comes to picking discipline over regret, how do we do that? We're going to go to one of the experts. And one of the experts is actually a man named Paul. So today we're going to be learning from Paul. And here's the good news about Paul for you, is that if you think that you are too far gone, that you've done, like I've done too much, God doesn't want me, He can't use me, just go look at Paul, right? Paul has done, if you haven't hunted and killed Christians, you're doing great. You're doing better than Paul, right? So Paul always makes me feel better about myself, and he should do the same for you. So we're going to look at Paul today and see what he has to say about discipline and regret. And these are in his words. We're going to start on Romans 7:15. He said, I don't really understand myself, for I want to do what is right, but I don't do it. Instead, I do what I hate. You ever been in that place? You're like, I know it's right, and I know what I'm supposed to do, but I always end up doing the thing that I end up hating myself for. Continue on in Romans 7:18-19 says, and I know that nothing good lives in me, that is, in my sinful nature. I want to do what is right, but I can't. I want to do what is good, but I don't. I don't want to do what is wrong, but I do it anyway. You ever been at dinner and thought, I shouldn't take another bite, but you do anyways? And then you hate the feeling that you have after. Or there's that sin in your life that you know, like, I know this is wrong, but you always end up doing it again. You end up going, Lord, please forgive me, God. I promise I'll never do it again. Don't make me suffer the consequences of what I've done. And he forgives you and he gives you grace. And then 2 weeks later, he finds you in the same space again. And you're asking, Lord, please forgive me. I'll never do it again. And God's like, why? Why again? Jesus is over there, doing this. You find yourself there. Continue on in Romans 7:24-25. It says, oh, what a miserable person I am. Who will free me from this life that is dominated by sin and death? Thank God. The answer is in Jesus Christ our Lord. You can beat yourself up. You can tear yourself apart. You can just look at your life and go, I'm never going to measure up. I can't do it. If Paul could do it, you can too. If Paul and all the bad things that he did, I guarantee you, you are not too far gone. But it's because Paul found the answer. He said, it's not about what me and what I can do, it's about the one who can deliver me from whatever it is. Jesus. And he says that Jesus Christ, or with Christ's help, you can choose discipline over regret. Choosing what I want most over what I want now. And Paul does an amazing job of characterizing this in a metaphor. In 1 Corinthians, you probably have heard this before. In 1 Corinthians 9:24-25, he says, don't you realize that in a race everyone runs, but only one person gets the prize? So run to win. All athletes are disciplined in their training. They do it to win a prize that will fade away, but we do it for an eternal prize. Did you catch that? Disciplined in their training. There is a difference between running for fun. I don't get that. I don't. Some of you do. I don't understand it, running for fun. But there's a difference between running for fun and running to win. You ever been to like a kid's race? Or you just have some nephews or something, or some nieces that want to race, and you can tell, you can see it in their eyes, which one is just there for fun and which one's going to win, right? It's kind of terrifying a little bit. You see this determination and this fire rise up inside of them, right? There is a huge difference. The reason that they use this example in Corinth during this time, he uses the race analogy, is that there's a thing called Isthmian Games, and it's a big race that would happen, right? And it's kind of like equivalent like of soccer today. Soccer, it's real patriotic pride. Like, I'm gonna play for my nation. I'm gonna play for my city, my town. And so they would come together to be in this race, and they would represent where they came from. So it's not only are they running to win a race, but they're trying to win a race for their people, for their city. They feel the backing of their people. So it's very competitive. And so in light of that, all athletes are disciplined in their training. And this is what he's talking about, the example that he's referencing, Paul is. There's a 10-month special training they would go through for these games, for this race. They would have a strict diet. Some of you bailed on that one. They would not drink any alcohol, no wine, no junk food, and some of you are immediately out on that. And then they would say they would endure extreme cold and extreme heat. Now, probably most of us within those parameters are out, okay? We don't want to do that. But that's what they would do. They would care so much about winning. They would endure these extreme things to hopefully train themselves because they wanted to run to win. So before they would begin the race, before they would, all the big festivities everybody's there for, they would have this ceremony, right? And in this ceremony, they would say a lot of inspiring things, and they would say something like this. They would say, let us strip off everything that hinders running the race. And when they would say that, or in that context, in so many words, what they would do, all the people that are racing or in the competition, they would literally rip all of their clothes off. They meant nothing. Clothes, everything. That's why when you go to you look at Greek, statues and all this stuff and the physiques, and that's why they're all naked, because they thought being an athlete, having that physique, it was something to be prized. And so they would show it off. But it was a lot to do with that they were literally stripping everything away to run the race as quick as possible. To me, that is the greatest motivation to be first. Because if you think about it, if you're racing and everybody's naked, there's a lot of bouncing and a lot of things happening, and you want to be first because you don't want to have to see that. At least that's me. I don't want to see that stuff, so I'm going to be first, okay? That's a great motivation to do that. But when it comes to winning a race, and that idea of stripping anything away that would hinder you from running most efficiently. So for us, our race, and this is what Paul's talking about, is to be closest to Christ. Our race is to run this life in a way that we're trying to win. And winning is being as close as a Christ follower as possible, to emulate Christ. So, with that in mind, what purpose do you come to church with? Do you come just for fun? This is a good social event. We're very friendly here at Village Heights, and that's very flattering. It's a big compliment we get. But if that's the only thing you're coming for, is for the social part of it, that's just checking off a box. Now, if you're trying to win the race, when you come to church, you're coming to church for transformation. Because if you're wanting to be transformed, discipline yourself. You're stripping the things out of your life that would hinder you from following what God is telling you to do. So when you come to church, do you come to church saying, hey, I just can't wait to go hang out? Or it's, Lord, I'm going to church now. I'm going to hear your word. I'm going to worship. Can you speak something to me today? Don't let me miss the message that you're trying to give me so that I can continue to transform myself, become more disciplined in being a Christ follower so I can get close as possible to you. See, there's a big difference between running to win and running for fun. We get to choose the pain of discipline for the prize. So do now what helps me achieve what I want most. So as you're preparing to head to church or a Bible study or whatever you're doing, it's a moment where you're trying to engage with God, are you asking yourself, what is distracting me? What can I strip away so that I can run more efficiently to Christ? So to help you out with this, if you're taking notes, it's one time to start taking notes, I have 2 questions for you, and these are kind of action questions. All right, and if you're honest with yourself in these 2 questions, I guarantee you it has the potential to change your life and every life around you. Okay, so number 1, I asked you it earlier, and so this is kind of a refresher. If you haven't thought of one, think of it now. Number 1, what do you want most? What is that thing? I'm not talking about winning the lottery or getting divorced and marrying Channing Tatum or something weird like that. None of that stuff. what do you really want? What is most important to you? Is it to get closer to God? Is it to lose 20 pounds? Is it to improve your marriage? Is it to get free of an addiction? Maybe it's to get out of debt. What do you want most? So write that down if you haven't done it yet. And I ask you to do this because it's not real until you make it real. Until you actually put pen to paper or thumbs to tablet or whatever it may be and actually write it down and be honest with yourself. This is what I want. Then it becomes real. Because before that, it's just dreams and hopes and things in the back of your head. But when you put it down, it becomes reality. So put it down. Okay, number 2. What do you need to choose now to achieve what you want most? What do you need to do now to achieve what you want most? So let's go through some of the examples. If you want to get closer to God, none of these are rocket science, but if you want to get closer to God, start a Bible study. Start reading the book that talks about Him, that teaches you everything about Him. I don't come up with this. I get it all from a book, right? It's from the book. So start reading that. And there's so many apps and so many things that you can use. It makes it so easy nowadays to figure that stuff out. Commit to church. Be a part of the family of church. And so at Village Heights, we believe that we're a family. And what does that mean? When you go home and it's time to eat or whatever, there's chores to be done, do they just let you just sit there? Not my house. If my kids, I'm like, you're a part of this family. Get up and put some dishes away. You're a part of this. So at Village Heights, we ask to be a part because you're going to help make the table for the next guest to come like they made it for you. And so be a part, serve, join a village. Village is like our small groups. And so we're about to start a new season of that in a couple of weeks. And go deeper with people. We meet during the weekday at various locations and be honest. Be real, be vulnerable. Don't come to be fake, to show off, to make people think that you're better than you really are. No, be real with people so that they can share their realness and y'all can learn from and grow and connect with one another. Join a village. If it's to lose 20 pounds, join a gym. Get a trainer, hire one. Get help on your diet. It's not just going to happen. I've tried many years. I've tried to wished it, and the weight just stays there. Okay, you got to do something about it. Wishing doesn't work. If you want to improve your marriage, go on a date. Have a date night. If you worry that your spouse doesn't know that you appreciate them, do something to show that. Actually make an action to show it in a way that they know it. Go to counseling. Ask for help. Get an opinion beyond your own on your situation. Go to somebody that's been where you've been so they can help you, guide you through that fork in the road. At Village Heights, we use something called the Simba's test. And usually it's geared towards pre-marriage, but it's post-marriage. It's no matter what time in your marriage you are, your spouse is growing and changing just like you are, and it's always good to have a refresher course, okay? Hannah and I have been married for 15 years. Hannah, although looks the same, she is not the same person she was when we first met. I am not. I look way different. I am not the same person that I was when we first met. We develop, we change, and so Hannah and I are constantly dating each other. We're constantly learning things about each other because something I knew back then might have actually changed. She has a different opinion now, right? And so work on it, right? And so if you want to do the Simba's test, I highly recommend it. You should really do it. It reads your mail. It's really good. If you want to get free of an addiction, first off, admit it. Admit that you have one. Then ask for help. Seek counseling. And when I say ask for help for somebody that actually loves you and wants to help you, doesn't judge you. If you don't have that person, come talk to me. I'll be that person for you. I will help you. I will not judge you, I promise, because I've probably done worse, probably. So counseling, find a support group to help you through, people that have been there where you are, that are further along. If you're trying to get out of debt, this is really complicated. Stop spending money, okay? If you want to get out of debt, stop spending money, especially money that's not yours. Quit doing that. If you want to find financial peace, there's so many courses and so much help, so many apps out there that can help you get on a track to get out of debt. But most importantly, if you're a Christ follower and you want to get out of debt and get a hold of your finances, honor God with what He's already given you. If you honor God, what he has given you, he will honor you back, okay? And I'm not promised that he's going to make you rich or anything like that. I'm not promising that. But what I'm saying is he is your provider. He gave you every skill, talent, and ability that you have to even make a dime. And he will provide you with more if you honor with what you have. He will entrust you with more. So honor God if you're trying to get out of debt. But when it comes to these things, it's hard, right? It's tough to do. You want something to happen, you got to do something about it. You got to make a choice. Hannah had to experience it this week. Hannah, if you're new, you didn't hear it last week, but she had a polyp on her vocal cords, and so this week she had surgery on her vocal cords. They had to cut it off. I have pictures, but I'll have to get consent to release those pictures. I think it's fascinating. Some of you are begging me, please don't give consent to release those pictures. But she had to make a choice, right? So this is something that has been developing over time to where she'll come to a point. There's been a Sunday, multiple Sundays actually, she comes up to talk and nothing comes out because the polyp and for a person who speaks for a living, they need their voice. And so she had a choice to make. I can continue to go through the pain and managing this and trying to muscle my way through and eventually probably end up in irreparable damage on her throat. Or I can go to a doctor and they can look at it and I can go through the pain of surgery and go through a smaller amount of pain in a shorter period of time to hopefully be able to talk better for a longer period of time later. And so she's going through that this week. I mean, there's a lot of little things with it that are painful. It's going to give her a better future, but I think the most painful thing is learning that I'm not great at charades. My abilities in charades are very low. So if we're playing charades, don't pick me because I have a hard time reading. So there's frustration there, but we have whiteboards and devices. Thank God for all the devices that we have. It's hard work. You're like, I want that thing that I want most, but it's going to be hard. Yeah, it's going to be hard. And you're thinking, it's going to be expensive. Yeah, it's going to be expensive now, but it's going to be even more expensive later to try to take care of it if you let it fester. You're like, I got to be vulnerable. Yeah, you got to be vulnerable. You got to be willing to put yourself out there to try to take care of the things that need to be taken care of so you can get what you want most. So choose your pain. You can have a little pain now to discipline yourself, to confront whatever it is, or the mountain is just going to grow and it's going to be even painful later. Choose your pain. In 1 Corinthians, Paul continues on. I love the way he puts this. 1 Corinthians 9, 26 through 27, it says, "So I run with purpose in every step. I am not just shadow boxing. I discipline my body like an athlete, training it to do what it should do." He disciplines his body. He's strengthening his will. He tells his body what it needs to do rather than his body tells him what it's going to do. Have you ever met a person that's an expert in a topic they don't excel in? Have you ever met? Some of you are thinking some names. Don't say the name out loud. They might be in the room. They know everything about weight loss, or they know everything about good financial dealings, or whatever it may be. They know they're experts in this area. But you look at them and they're like, but you're not showing the results of what you're talking about, right? They're an expert in it, but, so you kind of dismiss those people. We end up in this place where we're more worried about convincing others it's a good idea that we forget to convince ourselves to do something about it. And it wrapped up in our pride, and that's a whole nother talk, but I could be a really convincing time traveler. I could learn some facts in the past. I can, draw them to things in the future or things that are happening now. If you get on YouTube, there's some pretty convincing stuff. I mean, there's people I believe out there that the earth is flat, and if you do, no offense, but I argue with that. They believe the earth is flat, and you can watch a YouTube video, and it's pretty believable, right? They do a great job of crafting this together. So I could probably convince you that I'm a time traveler until I put a foil hat on, I go in the alley, hop in a cardboard box, and go beep, boop, beep, boop, beep, boop. And you're like, oh, no, he's crazy. He has no idea what he's talking about, okay? Stop worrying about convincing others so much that you forget to convince yourself to actually take a step. And here's a secret when it comes to your goals and the things that you want, what you want most. Nobody cares until they see results. People are being nice. If you're not actually doing it and you talk about it a lot and you're like, okay, yeah, they're just being nice. They're trying to protect your feelings. They don't care until they see results. So I say flip the script. Actually start doing it, working towards what you want most. Then when they start seeing results, you're like, hold up, something's changing. Then they're going to want to know what you're saying. So don't worry about it. And how you do that is with purpose in every step. Just like Paul said, purpose in every step, meaning that everything you do, start working towards that goal. Have you ever gone to the store and you're like, I just need one thing. I just need one thing, right? And you're heading to the store, and this happens to everybody, mostly in America. So people from other countries, they're really confused by why we do this. So we go to the store, right? What always happens? You're looking for a parking spot. And then you see one in the very front. You're like, ooh, that's a good one. Right? And you try to pull up there, but somebody gets it, right? And so then you end up, and like something happens in your mind. This competitive nature takes over, and you're like, I got to get the best spot. I got to take the least amount of steps, because if I can get closer and take the least amount of steps to the front door, I win, right? And so then you end up circling the parking lot, stalking people, actually following them to their cars, hoping to get their parking spot. No lie, yesterday we were at a place where I was with the boys. On Friday, I was with the boys. Sorry, my days run together. And I was literally, they hadn't even driven around the parking lot yet. They pull in, and they're like, hey, can we follow you to your parking spot? I'm like, sure, why not? I don't know. Maybe they figured something out, how to beat the game. But we end up doing this where we circle the parking lot trying to get the best spot when they're only 5 feet apart in increment. We circle so much that if we just would have took the first spot we saw, went in, grabbed the item, bought it, and left, we would have left the parking lot before we even found our first parking spot. If you don't believe me, next time you go to the store, time yourself. If you're one of those people that's got to have the best spot, you got to, and I don't know, something about it, like the dopamine fires in our brain, and it tells us you're doing great, you're doing awesome. See, the trick is we have to retrain our brains. We got to tell ourselves that before I even get to this parking lot, the thing that matters is getting that item and getting out of there, right? So if that is your plan, you're going to be in and out of that store in no time. Target is going to kill me for saying this because this is their bread and butter. They want to send you into a vortex which you never leave, and you end up with too many things you never even wanted. So when you go to the store, know it. So when you go into life, enter into the day with the goal in mind. Don't give in to those little things that are driving and pulling you. And so some of you look at me and go, it's easy for you. You're a pastor. Yeah, guys, I have reached upper echelon, and I am holy, and I float everywhere I go. I'm just kidding. If you really know me, I'm not that kind of person. I stumble, I fall, I'm imperfect, and the truth is, I usually have more on the line than most people because my position in leadership, I have a morality of leadership that I have to follow. And so if I fail, and they look at me and go, well, he knew the Bible most and was supposed to be closer to God, and he can't do it. I definitely can't. So there is a pressure on me. But even in the little things, food. Obviously, I'm sometimes losing the battle to food. I love food. Hard to resist those things. Gluttony. Stuff. Guys, I love stuff just like everybody else. I want big trucks, fast cars, big boats, big house. I want all that and all the fun things that go with it. I have to resist those temptations of getting in debt as well. And believe it or not, also lust. I am a male just like any other male. And as you go out into the world today, people are wearing less and less. It's true. It's just the way it goes. And so I have to be disciplined to tell myself, don't indulge in whatever that thing is. Because it's available and it's there, and I know in the moment it's tempting, but I have to tell myself, I remind myself, I want a better marriage than I want to enjoy this moment. So I'm not going to indulge into whatever this person's offering because I care about my wife. And I want a stronger marriage. And I want a wife that's able to trust me. And if I'm constantly falling into lust and temptation, she's going to lose her trust for me, which is going to make the marriage rocking. That's not one of my goals. One of my goals in life is to have one of the strongest marriages around. And that takes time and effort, and it takes being disciplined. I'm just as vulnerable as anybody. But here's the catch. I guarantee you, I could efficiently and effectively sin better than you. I know that I can. because I am compulsive, I can be arrogant, I can be prideful, and I'm an Enneagram 7. I love a party. I love attention. I love it when people laugh. It's oftentimes that we are out in public and somebody's doing something crazy or dumb or stupid or exciting, whatever it is, and I turn to Hannah, I was like, not for Jesus. Well, that would be me. And she goes, yes, it would. You know, she knows me well, right? Just as vulnerable. I am a terrible, selfish human by nature. So I know I need Christ. I need boundaries. And I need accountability. I will never not need Christ. And the day that I decide that I don't need Him and I can do this on my own, that's my first step to falling. Jesus is the only one that can change us. So I get grace daily in my daily choices. I am conforming to the image of Christ on a daily basis. Do I always win? No. But I'm always trying to discipline myself to run the race better. So with Christ's help, you can choose discipline over regret. So look at what you wrote down. Look at that thing that you decided, what you want most. If you don't do something about it, it's going to be your biggest regret. It will be. Choose no regrets. Choose it. Refuse to be the one that says, I wish I would have spent more time with my kids. I wish I would have played more board games. I wish I would have went outside more. I wish I would have been with them more. Refuse to be the one that says that. Refuse to be the one that says, if I would have only forgiven them and had a better relationship and would have communicated better and didn't hold it against them. I wish I would have. Don't be the one that says, I should have taken better care of myself. But it was too late. I was too afraid to go talk to the doctor. I was too afraid of the surgery or whatever I was going to have to go through to get healthy. But now it's too late. Don't be that person. Don't be the person that says, I never planned to end up here. I'll give anything for another chance. Or I wish I would never have started. I had no idea. That would have ruined my life. Refuse to be the person that has to say those things later in life. Refuse to be short-sighted. Refuse to be plagued by regrets. Run to win. Every day you wake up, run to win. Say, and it doesn't have to be the super complex thing. Just say, Christ, I want to be closer to you. What can I do today to run this race better? Purpose in every step. And with Christ's help, you can choose the pain of discipline and not have to suffer from the pain of regret later. But you got to make that choice. And like I said, today you're either going to hate this message or you're going to love this message. And if you hate this message, if you feel triggered, if you feel a little attacked, chances are you're dealing with regret right now. You made a decision, you've done something in the past, but I'm here to tell you right now that no matter what it was, because you are in this room and you can hear me and you have a voice and you can say something, you can talk to Christ right now, you can make a change. He can help you change. You were not too late. Remember Paul. Paul was a terrible human. And if he can grow closer to Christ and change this world, Paul, all that he did, and he became a patriarch of the Christian church. You are experiencing Christ right now because of things that he did, even though he did all those other things. So if he can do that and still do what he did, there is all the hope for you. You can still be a patriarch in your family, at work, in your neighborhood. You can further the cause of Christ for the kingdom more than you ever thought you could with Christ's help. So I'm going to pray, and when I pray, I want you to pray about the thing that you want most, whatever that is. And I want you to give it to Christ. Because on your own, it's going to be hard to get there. But you need Christ to help discipline you to get there. So hand it to him. Just tell him. Say, this is what I want, Jesus. Can you help me get there? And watch what he does. He's going to begin to show you the things that you need to rip away so you can run faster towards him. He's going to light up the relationships that you need to make. He's going to show you the areas where you need to work on. It's going to hurt. It's going to be painful, but it's going to be worth it. Let's pray. Jesus, thank you that you are always there and that you give us the opportunity to change. Thank you for coming alongside of us and first off, dealing with these regrets. Lord, all these regrets, these things that we've done in the past, thank you for your forgiveness and your healing in those. And Lord, I pray that we take these things that we want most and we hand them over to you. Lord, light up the path. Show us the forks in the road, the direction that we need to take to discipline ourselves, to not only draw closer to you, but to be better for whatever that is, for our families, for our coworkers, for everybody around us, our friends. Lord, continue to mold us into the Christ followers we were called to be as we continue to choose discipline over regret. Lord, bless us as we go, Lord, and as we fight through the pain of discipline. Help us, Father, and give us the motivation to get there, not just for ourselves, but for everybody around us. In Jesus' powerful name I pray. Amen.